Welcome to Pour Over Marketing. I'm Rob Southgate. We're going to try something new today. I don't know if this is working the way I think or not, or if it's just recording and then it's going to share, but I am recording or sharing to Substack at the same time we're doing this. The camera is right here, right below the screen. We'll see. We'll see if this does anything. We're only going to do that for a few minutes because my memory on my phone is going to be eaten up because I'm having an issue with Apple iCloud. So it's going to be limited what we can do, but we're going to give it a try, see what happens. Welcome to Pour Over. I'm at a loss today. I had lots of ideas on what I wanted to talk about. I had a lot of different things I was going to present. And then I got this idea to do this thing with Substack. And then I went, oh, shoot, it's gone out of my head. That's okay. We always find our way, don't we? So one thing I want to talk about is exactly what's happening here with this Substack thing. Now, I don't know. Once again, I don't know if it's live. And in fact, I could probably check this. Or if somebody's out there watching, if you go in the comments, go to Substack, go to the Pour Over Marketing Substack, which I believe you're a subscriber to, and tell me if you see something streaming. I'm going to look and see, but I don't know if it's going to tell me if it's going to tell me or if it's going to show me what I'm doing live. I don't know. So if you could go in there and check, that would be awesome. But here's the thing. Here's what I was thinking about. We need to keep trying to find other ways to get our message out there. And I know I've talked about this before, about having options. I mean, here we are. A lot of social media is kind of fumbling right now. It's funny. I was just reading today, somebody posted like, is anybody on Blue Sky anymore? And I was like, wait a minute, I like Blue Sky, but I find myself going to Threads all the time right now. I don't like Threads as much because I'm not enamored with Meta, but Threads actually seems to be the one that's kind of getting it right. I don't know, or probably because they're getting left alone. It allows them to get it right. Here we go. I'm going to go in and look at Pour Over Marketing on Substack, see if it's doing anything. Posts. It's not. Okay, I'm going to hit stop, and we're going to use that. Allow. Nope. Okay, that's not what I want to do then. I just deleted it. We're also going to try something else. Let's see if I can do this. Nope, not going to do it right now. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. With the changing landscape and with all the different options that are out there, one thing that has become very apparent to me in talking to people over the last few weeks, I've encountered a number of authors and artists, musicians. One thing that has been a constant is that people will say they hate marketing. They're afraid of it. They're afraid they're going to make a mistake. That's the big one. I'm going to put all that effort in and it's not going to get anything, or I'm going to put all that effort in and make a mistake and then I can't go back and fix it. I get it. You don't want to, I don't mean you don't want to in the bigger sense. I mean, personally, you don't want to make a mistake and then feel like, oh God, I screwed things up. But in the bigger sense, it's okay. It's okay. Try things and fail. You know, failure is how we learn. Failure is how we come to that next step and figure out the next thing, the thing that works for us. You have to fail a lot before you succeed. If you think you're going to hit the ground running and go, I have a perfect social media strategy, I have a perfect marketing strategy, I write the perfect press releases from day one, you're wrong. You're really wrong. Ask anybody who's had success in it, and they'll tell you, if they're being truthful, I tried 100 different things. One thing hit. It was amazing. and then I spent the rest of the time trying to get that one thing back. Or it's somebody like me who says, you know what, I just damn the torpedoes. I just keep trying different things. When something works, we write it out and keep looking at the next thing. So I've talked on here a lot about Substack being an option. I've talked on here about podcasts. I've talked about writing a legit like newsletter, YouTube channel. I mean, these are, it's weird because once again, in the broader sense, you could consider a lot of that as social media because you are putting it out there and you're hoping to have engagement. You're hoping to have social interaction. But in reality, those are a different animal. If we're looking at our social media, or sorry, our marketing strategy, social media is going to fall under the umbrella of Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, Blue Sky. Those are social media platforms, technically. Then in another bucket, we might have new media. That would be your podcast. That would be your YouTube channel, which you can lump those together. Some people will separate those and they'll say, video and audio are two different animals. I get into conversations with people about that fairly regularly online that say, oh no, if you're a podcaster, you never post to YouTube. That's not a podcast. Hey, you know what? I don't care. Is it a marketing tool? Yes. Do they tie together? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, you want to get so you're in both places, and using them in a way that attracts more people. Some people are auditory, some people are visual. You've got to talk to your audience the way they like to be talked to. What other options? Well, there's another bucket could be live events. Okay. Getting out there, doing live things. I think that's important. I think that is part of your mix. When a few weeks ago we talked about, I showed you the house that we've been working on. By the way, put it on the market. Supposed to go on last Saturday. On Tuesday before it was supposed to go on the market, somebody had wanted to see the house. Our realtor said, can we show them? It's early, but we need to. I said, sure. And by Wednesday, the next day, 4 people had seen it, 4 different potential buyers, and we had an offer that we're hoping sticks. It's a good one. So we may have sold the house before we even really technically had gone on the market. Even though we did go on the market and we did have an open house after that, it was very quick. People love it. So there's the update. I'll keep you informed if everything goes through. So a few weeks ago, I talked about how your marketing could be like a house. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit because what I'm talking about now kind of ties into that. Picture your marketing plan as a blueprint. You don't have to say it's a house with a foundation and a blah, 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 but a blueprint. Make something with boxes, okay? And in those boxes, plug in your different efforts. So I might take the basement, okay? Big open basement, big box, and put small boxes in it that are like storage rooms, closets, whatever. And that's where you have your different social media efforts, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Put Facebook, Instagram, and Threads together, maybe separate into 3, but put them in one box because you can do all of them at once if you want. You can have your strategy tie together between them. Put Blue Sky over here. If you do Snapchat or any of those things, great. Put it in there. Make the basement maybe your social media because it's got so many different aspects. Make one room podcasting. Okay. Have the room next to it be video. And with video, make sure you have stairs that lead downstairs to your social media, because as you develop it, you're going to find, oh, I can take this YouTube video. I can take this video here and chop it up into reels and make some other content that I can put out there. getting ahead of myself a little bit. So you make essentially a blueprint. You make boxes, and you put down what each thing is in the box. These are your different areas that you're going to attack, or that you're going to attack's not a great word for it, that you're going to invest in as your marketing strategy. Okay. So I'm saying all these things, but you may say, no, I hate X. I hate Instagram. Okay. You could put a box there with it and leave it blank. What you're doing is you're showing yourself what the options are out there. But you may say at the end of the day, hey, my real strategy is I do a podcast. I have the audio pushed to YouTube for video. So I'm not creating new things on YouTube, but I do have to have a YouTube channel, and I do have to have kind of a strategy there. And figure out all the different things. Newsletter. Is your newsletter tied to your Substack? Make Substack one of your rooms. Is the newsletter exclusively through that? Or do you do a newsletter on MailChimp, use Substack almost like a blog, have your blog tied to your website, make your website one of them, have live events as part of it, have public speaking as part of it? What's your outreach? Do you guest on things? Okay. So all these things, you kind of put them in rooms, and you say, how do they tie together? Where do they overlap? You're almost making like a Venn diagram. Okay. I guess at the end, you're going to have to make a Venn diagram to see what goes where. Okay. You can tell I'm working something out here. I'm thinking about something. I'm working out a plan here. But think about all the options. We could also go another step, and you could make a bucket that says digital marketing, online advertising, print advertising. Are you going to venture into that? PR. Am I doing my own PR, and am I going to try to attract attention that way? If you have like a podcast that's like, this is what your business is. You're a podcaster, and you're like, okay, well, I want to send a press release for every episode. Guess what? Nobody's going to pick it up. Nobody. But I would still have a room for PR personally. And I would say, okay, now that I have this room, we'll get back to the rooms in a second, what you're doing with the rooms. But for the room itself, like the bucket that the room is, I am so full of weird ties today. If I'm a podcaster, I would put a PR room, and after cleaning it up, I would also then create somewhat of a strategy and say, okay, well, why would I use PR? How would PR be interested in what I do? They're not going to be interested in my day-to-day shows. They're not going to be interested that I'm just like, hey, I'm a podcast. What they may be interested in is maybe when you first launch, if you have a really good idea and everything's in place, that you can go boom and hit the market. Maybe you can do something with that. But better than that is figure out what are some things that the public should know about that I'm going to be doing this year. For example, let's say I'm doing a paranormal podcast. Okay. And on this paranormal podcast, I do, I talk about all the different cryptids and everything. And I've got my PR room, and I'd say, okay, just talking about Chupacabra and Bigfoot's not going to do it. When I put out a press release, nobody's going to pay attention to that. Actually, they might. But let's go back. Better than that is I go, what are some things that I do this year that are unique? So like with this show, I do Integrated Marketing Palooza in July. That is an event that is 4 weeks of concentrated integrated marketing, conversation, questions, the whole works. Okay. Now I have something I can send a press release out about. If I'm that paranormal podcast, maybe I go to a Bigfoot festival. Okay. Some big Bigfoot festival. I'm going to be recording live there, and I create an event around it. Not just that I'm going to be there recording live, because really the Bigfoot Festival should be sending something out and announcing you're in there. You should be talking to them about it. Make sure you put my name in there. Or you can send it like, we're coming. Bah. When we went to PopCon, PopCon was supposed to be sending out press releases, but we sent our own for Writers Row to try to get some press just for us. Okay. But that was an event. That wasn't just we have a new book out. That was an event. Your show, we have a new episode out. That's not an event. It might be an event to you, to your listener, but not to the press. So create something that is buzzworthy, something that deserves the attention of the press. Okay. And don't worry, it's not going to work in the beginning. You have to earn that. You might get a hit here and there, but it's over time. You have a list. You're connecting with people. You're finding out who posts what, and you're starting to build relationships. And then you'll know. I'm trying to promote romance books. I do a whole thing with romance books. If I start sending out these press releases, hey, they're not picking it up. They're not picking it up. And all of a sudden I find like, hey, this radio station loves to have my authors on. I got to make sure whenever I have something like this, I send to them. Okay. So I'm not going to dive into that too deeply. Back to our blueprint. You've got this PR room. Even if you think I'm not going to use it, make a PR room. Make a live event room. Okay. What are ways you can reach out to the public? With the blueprint, I'm going to go back to what that original idea was, because this is where it's really important. You make this big blueprint. You make sub boxes and all that. We don't have to make the Venn diagram yet, although when we get further in, we want to. But right now, take your blueprint, build the boxes. I don't care if it turns out there's 100 boxes and you go, I'm only using 4 of them. That's fine. The other ones, just make them gray. All right. Do that thing where they put the lines, the horizontal lines or the vertical lines. The lines across it to say not in service right now. But you have those boxes, right? And what you're doing with this blueprint then is, before we get into the whole Venn diagram, before we figure out what we're doing with each thing, you're fine tuning it. You're making it presentable. That was the idea on the show, and it has not left me. The one where I just kind of riffed on it and said, oh, get this room ready, whatever. Get the rooms ready. So go back and look at your Substack and say, what are all the elements here that I need to know about? Okay. Does it have the correct header image? Does it have the right colors? Here's a pro tip. When you're doing that kind of stuff, and I don't care which platform it is, you want to go to Google. You can go to, I think HubSpot has it, other places too, but I think HubSpot has one, has a sizing guide. And just type in 2025 social media sizing, image sizing. And what you'll get is a chart that tells you this is what a post, the optimal size for a post image. This is the optimal size for your banner. This is the optimal size for your little image here. Make your images those sizes. If you're in Canva, you can do custom sizes and make them fit those sizes. I see this mistake all the time, especially YouTubers. They cut off the top. They use a weird square when it should be widescreen. There is a specific size for YouTube. What I have found is you can take some of the images, and if you leave a little bit of air at the top and bottom, like right now, you see there's a little above my head, there's a little down here. I could take this, it fits YouTube. When I go to put it on Facebook, it might scrunch it a little bit. Okay. But it's still, I've got the image in there so it fits, so I can repurpose it as I need to. But take your room and figure out every element, images, colors. There's another thing. I was just having this conversation with somebody about their website. And I said, the first thing I would do is Google trending colors for websites. Trending colors 2025. The website one is specific. What are the colors that people are attracted to right now? Smarter people than us are doing these surveys and analyzing data to figure out what colors keep people on a page longer, what colors in your YouTube heading, in your podcast picture, in your biopic attract the eye, keep people there longer, which is also why every year you want to go through this and refresh stuff. Slap a little more paint on that house. Maybe put some new crown molding up. Okay. So Google trending colors, trending fonts. Oh my God. I see this all the time too. There's one guy that I've seen who builds websites. It's somebody I know. Not well or anything, but somebody that I know. And I've looked at the websites he makes and they bore the hell out of me because they are the same Times New Roman font on everything. And he seems to have a color palette of about 5 colors. So his images look fine, but go look at 2 or 3 of his websites and you're like, is this a different website? I can't tell. And they don't attract you because they're bland. Color preferences change. Trending colors change. Trending fonts change. Comic Sans never is in style. Look that stuff up. So now you've got your room where you're building your website and look those things up. And then also, as you're looking at this, you're doing all the elements. You're looking at the images, you're looking at the colors, you're looking at the type of topics that are covered there. Go look up. You can type in best Facebook groups 2025. I don't know if I do that because it might not be all those elements, but maybe, yeah, I would. And see what happens is there's marketing agencies that analyze these things and they'll put out a list and say, like, here are the top 10 Facebook groups that are the most active. And then they usually will say why. Take yours and start aping some of those things. You don't have to use the same colors. Find your colors that work for your brand, that work in a trending world. When we started Southgate Media Group, I had a friend of mine that's a marketing person. She said right away, we had made this logo. It was blue with the white letters. And she said, change the blue a little bit, but you got it exactly right. Blue and white at that point was really hot. A couple years ago when we did Southgate Media Group 2.0, when we tried to launch that, we switched to black and white with a gray scale behind it. Very trendy. Looked cool. Now, I don't know. At one point, we changed our logo so it had an orange background. It was really cool, really vibrant. It doesn't look like a logo now, so I don't use it. But it was really cool for about 2 years. That's just it. Slap a new paint on. Trying new fonts. Doesn't mean you have to overhaul your image. It means the various houses, your Facebook page, your blog, all your website. When you do live events, so you got a room that says live events, you think, well, okay, that's just a room. I guess I can fill it with potential live events. Sure. But also, what are the elements of your live event? If we go back to the house analogy, you've got a house and you want to have curb appeal. What do you bring to a live event that gives you curb appeal? I saw Seth Godin, the marketer, speak at a leadership conference. Most of the people that did the leadership conference just came out and they spoke. They had their suit on. They might hold up their book, and that was it. Okay. Why did Seth Godin stick in my mind? Well, he had a PowerPoint. He had an image. Okay. But he had a PowerPoint that was different. It wasn't a boring PowerPoint. It was interesting and funny. He could get away with that. And he created a whole image around it. What do you do? Do you have something that sticks in people's minds? Now, PowerPoint or a presentation, always an easy one. But then you go to a TED Talk, they don't have that typically. Some do. They rely on the branding of TED behind them, and then it's what they do to present. It's their curb appeal. So in your live event room, figure out what is your curb appeal. What are some options? Maybe you have some closets in there where you can say, you know what, this is a live event where I have a PowerPoint thing. I want to use these types of colors. I want to have this type of thing. Here are my subjects I'm going to talk about. But what you're doing is you are taking your rooms and you are getting them ready. Think about a room. The room you're in right now, look around. Is it just concrete floor, drywall walls? No. Maybe it's wood floor. Maybe it's got a carpet on it. Maybe it's a wood floor with a rug. Maybe it's carpet squares. Look at the walls. Are they paneling like these are that we've painted to make them look fresh? Are they drywall like that one is? See, you can see the difference. Okay. We put crown molding up. We put trim around the window to spruce it up. Look at your room that you're in and say, what are all the different elements? Everything matters. The type of bookshelf we chose, the curtains we chose, the crown molding we chose, the furniture in here, the colors we used. It all matters. Now, maybe you're not very good at that. That's what Google is for. But take your rooms in your marketing house, in your business house, and do that same thing. What are all the things? What are the curtains? What are the furniture? What is the floor? What does it look like? Fonts, colors, text. What is the image I'm trying to put out there? What then also make yourself a list in the room of like topics. Like I'm doing this right now in for Substack. I did things like I made a header. So when my Substack goes out, like I just made that live video, if I hit send, which I'm not going to because there was no content there, but if I were to hit send, it would send out an email to the people that subscribe saying, hey, here's a video I just made. And I went in and I found in the settings area, I think it was, there was a thing where you could make a unique header. You could do some things to make it unique to you. Even here, we're talking, I'm using StreamYard for this, okay? And then it pushes out to Facebook and YouTube. And even here, I've done things like this image up here where it says pour over marketing, whoop, right there. That is something I've created. That's a media asset that I added. See? So various shows I do, I change that image. There are overlays that I can put over in this corner. Boom. Boom. Okay. You can add video clips. Okay. Here's an example. Okay. I could make a video intro for this show that does that. Or at a segment when I'm like halfway through and I'm like, all right, it's time for Social Media Corner. And I hit a video clip. Social Media Corner. Okay. The background, I made a background for it. So now, boom, there's a background. See if I can show you another one. See? So if I have a guest on, I can hit one of the various things. Like this one, you can't tell, but it actually does a split screen. Maybe this one doesn't. You can't tell. Okay. But I can do a split screen and have this background in the background to show that we're having coffee in a bookshop and a coffee shop in the morning. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe we're having some drinks. I don't know. Drinks, books, purple. This one moves. How cool is that? Right? But I'm thinking about all the different things and what are the different elements I want to put in here. You look at what other people are doing and you say, do I like what they're doing? And in my house, in those rooms, I start adding those things in. Doesn't mean you have to do them. You could take it and make it like your goals list that we've talked about before. Take the room, write down, like put down the specific things. What's the carpet? What's the walls? Blah, blah, blah. And then maybe have a list in there of tweaks, things I liked that I saw on other pages. Is there a way I can add that into my mix here? Okay. Because what you're trying to do is give it a distinct look, give it curb appeal, but then also have your list where you're making the gotta hide that, where you're making the content. And what are the things you need to make that content? Maybe you have to learn how to use CapCut for your video side. Maybe you've got a room where you have TikTok and you go, you know what? I've got my TikTok looking the right way. I've got the elements. I have a shop in there now. Like those are all things you think about. Can I have a shop? Is there a way to make money off of it? Write it down in that room. Okay. All those things. How do you make money with it? What does it look like? What am I saying in there? What's my image? What do I wear? Okay. All that stuff. You could even have a subset in there of how do I gain followers? Okay. I don't care about the other stuff. Do it for each room because they're not going to all be the same, right? It's going to be different. So figure it out. Write it in the room. What are sources I can use? And if you don't know them, you might not know them. Okay. I don't know how to gain followers. I don't know how to make a viral video. Great. Maybe put a thing of questions in there. I have a thing I made a couple days ago. I used my notepad on my Mac, and I just wrote a bunch of questions that I was like, take time to look at this. Find out about this. I'll give you a great one. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy was saying how it was not about marketing or business, but he mentioned that how happy he was when they started a Shopify. He wasn't advertising it. There was no link or anything for a Shopify, which is a mistake on his part because you can become an affiliate with them. But he was talking about how, yeah, I was using these different sources for t-shirts and whatever. And he said, I opened a Shopify account and I watched their video on how to use it. And I started doing my stuff through Shopify instead of through, Redbubble or TeePublic, whoever it was. And they said it worked. And now, even though they have a small audience, they sell things. And they're like, at first, it paid for the podcast. That's a big thing. If you can get your show to pay for itself, you're on the path. Okay. So to him, that was like a really big deal. But he was talking about Shopify. He was talking about how this, worked for him. And I went to Shopify. I found their training area. I opened a tab. I'm like, you know what? I need to do that. Because like on this show, when I mentioned the mug a few weeks ago, and I was like, the mug of the future or whatever, where you look in it and you see the future. And people were writing in the comments. They were like, oh my God, are you going to do something with that? I would buy one, right? I immediately, as soon as the show was over, I'm going to see if I can find it in here. It might be the Mug of Destiny. Let's see if it's here. There we go. Southgate Media Group. Huh. I don't want t-shirts. I want see all products. And mugs. That's where I put it. And it's not there. Okay. But that would be one of the things. You put in there like, okay, I've got my room where I'm doing my blog, or I'm doing like I do this show, and you write down the ideas that go in there. Okay. You're making kind of your dreams list. You're going to, at the end, separate the wheat from the chaff and say, yeah, this is not it. But do that. Take each room, figure out all the different elements that you need to do to make it so it has curb appeal, so that it makes people want to be there, and something that you can manage. And for the rooms you blacked out, leave them. Let's say 6 months from now, like you've got your 4 rooms and you're really kicking butt at those and you're feeling good about it. And you go, you know what? I'm doing this on Facebook. I could set up a Meta like professional account or Meta Suite. I don't know what they call it, and tie it to an Instagram and Threads. Great. Open those rooms up. Figure out what do I have to do before I reveal them. Make all those tweaks, and that's an easy one. Just make it so you write in your main one, how do I push this content to Instagram and Threads? Once you figure that out, it's easy, by the way. Once you figure that out, now you just open up 2 more rooms. You can put things in there. How do I get more followers on Threads? What do I have to do? How do I get more followers on Instagram? What do I have to do? What type of content is popular on Threads and Instagram? Should I create content specific to those, or do I really not want to, but I want to be there? You want to be there, by the way. You want to be there because your audience might be there. Wherever your audience might be, it drives me crazy when people do that. Podcasters used to drive me nuts. Other podcasts that I would talk to, they would say, "I'm only on Apple iTunes," or I'm on iTunes because that's the most prestigious. That's the only place you can get our show. Every show we'd launch, I would find every outlet. There was a list. It was like 45 different podcast feeders. It took me about an hour for every show that we put up to go in and upload our show to those 45 feeders. And there are more than that out there, but those 45, I had a list where it would kind of concisely go to them. So like one of them that you went to fed to maybe 15 other ones. So I had 45 or so that I had to feed, and then those would feed out to even further reaches. Okay. I wanted to be where people were. For a while, TuneIn Radio, for one of our shows, TuneIn Radio was like the number one place to hear it. For whatever reason, Apple, which was the number one platform at the time, had some listens. And then I go to TuneIn, and the numbers were doing great. Why? I don't know. But my competitor, who did not go to TuneIn because I'm exclusive to Apple, missed out. Audience was there. Same thing with you. Doesn't mean you have to go into all those rooms. Open those rooms or set up those rooms, and then you can go and start building them, making them look right, figuring out your strategy before you ever launch. And if you never launch, that's okay too. You got to do what your cup will hold. Okay. I saw a guy speak one time, and this really stuck with me, this visual. He was talking about how you fit everything in. And that's the same thing we're talking about here. Okay. I completely lost it because I have students writing me nonstop as I'm trying to talk. Somebody write in the chat and tell me what I was just saying. I got distracted by this student who is disputing their grade, even though they didn't do their work. Not my fault. Yeah. I lost it. Not good. I was getting all ramped up there too. Maybe the coffee will remind me. Or somebody watching, write it in the comments, please, if you remember what I was saying. Regardless. Okay, so you've got your rooms, you're tweaking all the things, you're opening up certain rooms, you're building things, maybe you're not doing things there. Okay. I've got a TikTok channel I've never done anything on. I think I've shared a couple of things. I've not put the time in on TikTok. I've not built that room yet. Okay. At the bottom of the screen, it says support us at Buy Me a Coffee. I actually started building something out there. It hasn't attracted anybody yet. It's attracted a lot of followers, but nobody paying. Okay. Maybe that's a room I just kind of let it be its thing. Or maybe I figure out how to make it draw some money, which is the purpose of Buy Me a Coffee. It doesn't have to be big money. It has to be some money, right? But then you look at what your curb appeal is. What do people see when they come by? So you're on Facebook. You know how when a Facebook page is doing well, it'll start showing up in your feed. Hey, if you like this, you're going to like this. It doesn't just randomly pick them. It picks them because there's a lot of people in that group. It's similar to other groups you like. Maybe there's crossover of people that are in this group that you're in, and it sees you going in there and doing activity and starts suggesting to you these other groups. Guess what? It's also suggesting to some of those people your group. And what is it about theirs that attracted you? Right? So get all that curb appeal in. Make it so it's so attractive. When they walk to your front door, it's so inviting. They want to go in and see what's going on. And then they walk in and there's all these different rooms, different ways they can interact with you. Maybe they hang out in your Facebook room. Maybe they only go to your live events. Probably not. If you do a great job with your live events, if you say the right things, they're going to follow you on the other things. You do a great job with your blog, they're going to follow you on other things. You do a great job on your Facebook page and you're building this and you start a blog and you advertise it on there and you say, hey, by the way, I've got a blog where I expand on this. Guess what? You're going to get followers over there. So make your blueprint. Figure out every little element. Just write them down. Don't get overwhelmed by them because you can literally start it with a concrete floor and blank walls and then figure out from there. But if you have the time to tweak things and make them beautiful, do that. And if it's already up and running and you didn't do it, go ahead and go back to it. It's smart. I'm doing it with YouTube right now. I'm doing things where I'm fixing images. I'm adding end video. After that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start putting those little cards that pop up in the top here that say like if I mention when I mention Shopify, right here, a little thing will pop up that'll say, check out our Shopify shop. You can click on that and it'll take you right to Shopify. Out of 15,000 videos that we put up, we've never done that. Now's the time. I'm trying to fix those rooms. Getting into the advanced part of it, that's when you can say, okay, I've written down all these different elements and I've written down strategies and I've written down what's going to go in these. Now you can take your rooms. Maybe they're not laid out like a house. Maybe it's just rooms. And you can start drawing lines between the rooms. Hallways, make hallways. Every hallway, every room might connect to one place. It might all come back to your website. That's okay. There's a hallway going back to the website. Now, that doesn't mean you've got a link on the website. That's something different. You want to make sure you have links to everything set up properly, right? I'm talking sharing of content. When I post a thing on Substack, I want it to go into something on my website that says either it's my Substack feeding there, or maybe it's a blog page on my website where I copy and paste what I've done on Substack, but maybe I've changed it a little bit. I've added different keywords in there. I put different images. Why? Not to make it so that, oh, you get fooled and you go there and read it a second place. No, it's so that it starts building authority between the two places. It's for SEO. It's so that when people search for the topic of building a marketing strategy, there's a blog on a website that has everything optimized that talks about it. And oh, by the way, there's a Substack underneath it that did it. Oh, and by the way, there's a video on YouTube, all from the same source. It starts pulling those threads together, and Google and Yahoo, they love that. When they see there's a lot of activity around one thing and it starts to tie together, they start to view you as more of an authority on it, and it starts drawing that together. So draw your lines to show how they connect, but then make a Venn diagram, right? Where do they cross over? Where do I share the content? And maybe you've got your Venn diagram and you go, hey, what I do, like my reels, there's a great example. I do this. I would have the Venn diagram so that it's not like entirely enmeshed, but maybe there's TikTok and Instagram and Facebook have little reels around it, and YouTube reels, not just the regular YouTube channel, but YouTube reels. And I know, hey, I'm going to create these small YouTube reels off of this, and now they connect to these things. So when I post here, I'm going to make it post to these other things. Reels are where it's at. I like this. Pierre just wrote, "Hi, Pierre. Very true on content variation between blog and Substack or whatever medium. Yes, you want that variation. Doing the exact same thing. Number one, if your viewer is trying to encounter with you, it's going to be a little bit boring. But if you do this a little bit of variation and you do it the different ways, I'll give you another example with that. Something that I've been seeing a lot of people do, once again on Substack, and you can use it other places, right? They write their. This is not what I'm doing with it yet, but like I write an article on Substack and I share it on LinkedIn and all the various places, right? What I see a lot of people doing now is they record themselves reading that Substack. They put it as a podcast on their Substack. So now people can interact with it both ways. But do they just put it on Substack? Probably in a lot of cases. But would I? No, absolutely not. I now have another way that people can interact with it. I can take that audio, I can post it on LinkedIn. I can put on LinkedIn the article with almost like when you get a white paper. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the white papers. Uh, there was a marketing white paper podcast that I used to really like. It was boring as hell because whoever did it was boring. But they would have these great articles on marketing, and then this person would just read it. He would read it very much like this. Very true on content variation between blog and Substack. Woo! Try to sit through that for a half hour. Anyway, I really like that. That's a way that you can use your content multiple ways. And if you have your Venn diagram, if you have your blueprint, and then you have a Venn diagram showing where things can go, it might open things up for you. And once again, if you're early in the process and you have a Facebook group and that's it, okay. Get that group doing everything it can. Fix that room. Put the paint on the walls, get the crown molding, put the rug down, do all the things to make it as attractive as possible. Ask yourself the questions and then take them to Google and try to find out, how do I attract more people? What do I need to do? What type of content works here? This is where you could use something like a chat GTP and say, take the role of a social media marketing director. Give me suggestions for how to make this Facebook group, blank Facebook group, more interactive. And then you put the link to the Facebook group and it'll spit back ideas. Does it mean take all the ideas? No, but it's going to give you ideas. It's going to give you stuff that it's pulling from other places. Then go look at some of the sources that it might have pulled from where you go, oh, wait a minute. I know Books of Horror is really interactive. What are they doing? Put that in your house. Doesn't mean you have to do it. You could put in there like, this is what's working. I saw this, whatever. Use that. Do that. Okay. Boy, I went through a lot of things. Pierre, you got anything else you want to add to that? I swear I've got I think it's the coffee. I used an extra big mug today. I was already one deep before we started. I think it's why I'm having trouble staying on track a little bit, other than this idea of tweaking your stuff, getting it all lined up. Make it as attractive as possible. I told you I'm on the YouTube kick right now, and looking at YouTube, it's kind of making me crazy because I see either everybody doing the exact same thing, boring. I see a lot of people doing only part of what they should be doing, which is also kind of boring. I see a lot of mistakes, things that are simple that could be fixed if people paid attention to what they were doing, looked at what other people were doing, tried to fix their room. You know, uh, Pierre. No, I just need to get a coffee myself. So you're not alone. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I had a weird night's sleep and I'm having a bit of an allergy attack, I think. And then add the coffee to that. And I think it's making me a little goofy, a little tired. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of different things outside of that. So one thing is, and I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. I do offer coaching and consulting on marketing. This is private. This is personal. I had an author write to me who said, "Don't you do this for our company already? Why would I pay?" Well, yeah, it's kind of like we have an editor, and the editor edits your book, but you would never ask your editor to do the process with you of the early process. You hand them something much further down the line and then read their tips on how to do a better job. You don't hand them something that's in stage one and say, "Here, I know the company's paying you, so just read my thing, fix it, hand it back. I'm going to work some more and then fix it, hand it back." You don't do that. That's what you hire a coach for, or a consultant that goes through with you, or an outside editor. Same thing here. Okay. So if you have a business and you want to get some coaching, get some consulting on your marketing or on your project, reach out to me, rob@smgpods.com. That goes to me. Southgate Media Group at gmail.com goes to me. You could put it in the show notes. You could put it on our Facebook page. You could put it wherever. Put it in the notes on YouTube. I see it all. It all goes back to me. It all leads back to one place. Okay. Here's the other thing. This is not just an ad for that. Anyone who follows me knows that I have been, I used to never post anything political. I didn't want to have that stuff feeding up in my timeline, but lately it's a lot of political stuff because I'm so distraught. I'm not going to go into it because that's not what this show's about. But you can tell I'm not happy with things when you look at my Facebook page. And I share things trying to enlighten people. I try to vet it and all that. But one of the biggest things, so let's put all that aside. One of the biggest things that comes out of that is I'm concerned about you. I mean, I'm concerned. Tariffs are going to hurt businesses that I'm close with. Their costs are going to go up. It's going to be harder for them to make money. Writers, artists, small business people, they're all going to get really hurt between the tariffs and all these policy changes. It's bad. Okay. And if you disagree with me, you're going to find out. But like I said, this is not a political show, and I'm not making a political statement. I'm just telling you I'm concerned. And in that concern, I realized costs are going up for people. It is going to be more difficult for people. And I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. And what I can do is what I'm thinking is let me see if I can find my number here because I want to give you guys the exact number. Here it is. So consulting and coaching is not cheap. Pierre, you're a consultant. You know it's not cheap. But I'm dealing with a lot of people that have small businesses, people that are entrepreneurs. You're an author and you're like, "I just need help with my marketing." You're an entrepreneur. You're a small business, and charging you what I charge when you're just trying to build something is going to be too much. So right now, for an unspecified amount of time, I am dropping my rate significantly. So if you ask for a discount beyond this, it's like, hey, I mean, everyone deserves to get paid, especially when they pour out the knowledge. Come on. My rate per session I'm not even going to go into that, but I'm dropping it significantly. So right now what I'm doing is I'm reducing my rate to $50 per half hour. That's the very cheapest I ever go. That is a third of what I get paid. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll say it's a third of what I get paid. Uh, I want this to be affordable. I want you to be able to sit down with me and talk about your specific thing. Make it personal. Make it about your situation. If you need help with the uh, strategy, if you need help, like I don't even know how to get started on TikTok. I don't know how to get started with Substack. We could do a half-hour session. I can walk you through it. The other thing is, so $50 a half hour is where I'm sticking for right now because I'm very concerned about the world and I want to help you. Okay. That is really low. It's not any number that I wanted to go with before. You build your business and you don't want to undercut yourself. But at the same time, I think that's a very helpful, fair number to you and to me to help my small business friends. You know, Amazon comes to me. I'm not giving them $50 for a half hour. Come on. But I'm an author. I've got 2 books out. I can't figure out how to attract people to my booth. Okay, let's do a $50 half hour session. Let's figure it out. Maybe we make a program. I mean, if your program costs you $50 every 2 weeks for 6 weeks, it's not amounting to very much. But you know it's going to come flowing back to you when you tweak some of these things and you make things happen the right way. So this is an indefinite amount of time. I have not figured out or decided how long I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it for a little while because I feel like we're in a state where we need that, right? You need that, and I want to help. The other thing is you can sign up if you want to explore this and talk about it. Reach out to me. Let's set up a free session. It's a 20-minute session where you get to ask a few questions and we kind of get to know each other a little bit to find out if you need to hire a coach or a consultant and if I'm the right one. I've literally had people. I had a podcast guy who I was the right person, but he was so combative about it that I was like, it's not going to fit. He needs my help, but he was so combative that I was like, you know what? I'm not the right person for you, but I think you really need this type of consulting. So here's a few resources. So I'm real fair about that. Let's see. Pierre's written 2 things. One is there are more ways to customize channels and content. Think AI is a feature. Think AI is a feature. So there are more choices. Yes, it's a tool. Use it as a tool. Don't use it to create. Use it as a tool. And then Pierre wrote, very true and fair pricing. Packaging information into a deliverable is tricky to keep within a workflow. It is. So if you are looking for consulting and coaching, this is the time to talk to me because my rate is significantly discounted because I want to help during this time. We're going back into a gig economy. People are losing jobs, whether you believe it or not, they are. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people having a hard time getting a job. So what am I been hearing from people? I've started trying to drive Lyft. I'm starting to drive DoorDash. Well, those are going to work for so long. I have a business I was hoping I could. Oh my God. I had one woman who she's been working this part-time job. She said, yeah, I'm afraid they're going to just fire me because they keep downsizing. She works at a thing at the mall. And it's somebody that I know. And she has a podcast. And her podcast is actually really good. I can't say what it is now because I don't want to bust her out for all this. But she wrote to me and she said, is there any way we can maybe do a free session to find out if you can help me figure this out? Because wouldn't it be great if I could make anything from what I'm doing? Yeah. So reach out to me. Let's have a session. Let's figure it out. But the going rate right now, I'm doing $50 per half hour. Reach out to me. All right. That's it. Start building your blueprint. Start building those rooms. And we will talk next Saturday, 8 a.m. Central, right here. And if I figure out this Substack thing, we might be able to go Substack Live and see what happens with that. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Oh, and subscribe on Substack. Look for Pour Over Marketing. It's there. If you're a podcaster, look for Drop the Mic. That's my other one on there. Have a great week, guys. Oh, and happy Mother's Day.